Evening all. Tonight I'm going to be talking about preparing for your skills then. We're going to be going through change management and all that kind of stuff, okay? So there's quite a lot in this. So it would be advised to have a listen, and if you don't get a chance to listen, obviously look at the presentation on Moodle later on, okay? So you're required to prepare a presentation outlining the impact of change management within an organization. Okay, so that's kind of thing. A brief introduction which outlines the type of organization in which the change takes place, an overview of the steps involved in managing change in an organization, and an exploration of the importance of communication in the change process, an outline of the link between the change process and managing resources such as budget and financial plans. So you give a summary of the various stages of decision making, an overview of the importance of keeping staff motivated in times of change, an account of the various approaches that can be taken when problem solving, a description of conflict management and conflict resolution techniques, an evaluation of the importance of feedback and constructive criticism in the change process. At the end of the presentation, you are required to provide a reflection on what you have learned in relation to your own personal and professional development as a result of this module. Okay, so understanding the nature of organizational change. Organizational change management is about learning to adapt the organization to evolving circumstances or new objectives in pursuit of an aspired future. That is, organizational learning overlaps with organizational change. Here's a quote from a guy called Jack Welch. An organization's ability to learn and translate that learning into An organization's ability to learn and translate that learning into action rapidly is the ultimate competitive advantage. And that was a quote by a guy called Jack Lynch. So the change curve. A lot of people obviously they don't like change. They like to keep going the way they're going. They're happy and they're comfortable in what they're doing. But sometimes we have to change. And here's a kind of what they call the change curve. This offers a graphical depiction of, I suppose, Lewin's model of the subjective experiences over time. So you can see the chart there, right? So on the left you have positive, neutral, and negative, and then obviously across the bottom you have the time. So initially you dive into negativity, surprise, denial, followed by fear, anger. That reaches the bottom. Then rises to positivity, acceptance, and implementation. It's a very, very simple chart, and that's what happens. You know, people, we don't want change. We want things to keep going the way they're going. We're happy, we're comfortable. This is how we've done them for the last 20 years. Right, insights from the change curve can help managing the change process by minimizing the negative impacts via communication, coaching, and so forth. And accelerating the process via infusing optimism, adaptation, exploration, and comfort with the new situation. So, you know, when you communicate, when you let people know, basically what that's saying is, right, let people know what's going on. Tell them what's happening when it's happening. You know, if there's a problem, let them know there's a problem. People don't like surprises, especially bad surprises. harnessing the emotional energy along the learning to change curve. So the appropriate emotional state in the organization can be fostered to match the positive focus in learning to change, a la hero's journey. So we'll start at the bottom here, right? So you can see here, right? The world as usual, business as usual, starting the change process, trust, serenity, resolve, compassion, departure, preparation, optimism, courage, synergy, independence, and assertiveness. The change in process, awe, passion, and surprise, the initial passage, openness, creativity, commitment, discernment, detachment. Implementing the change then, enthusiasm, celebration, gratitude, and joy. We have under then return, celebration, organizing, integrating, sharing, harmonizing, and enjoyment. And then at the very end, improved organization, the expanded world as usual. And that's just a different setup on Lewin's curve. The history of change management. Change management is a growing industry with thousands of books and numerous theoretical management frameworks that address both the necessity and the pain involved in managing and planning for change. And there are so many different theories out there. You could, do a whole module just on theories alone, the amount of theories that are out there. Everybody knows Maslow's theory, and we will be using that later on. Okay, so we're starting off with the history of change management. Kurt Lewin's three-step model for change was developed in the 1940s. Everett Rogers' book, Diffusion of Innovations, was published in 1962. Bridges' transition model was developed in 1979. In the 1990s, change management became well known, and formal organizational process became available in the 2000s. So there are three, I suppose, theories there for you: Kurt Lewin's, Everett Rogers, and Bridges' transition model. Have a look at them. Okay, I'm sure there'll be interesting reading in all of them, but have a look at them. Look them up on Google, see what they say, see if you can get some information from them. The change management iceberg. So as we know, icebergs, we only see 30% of them. 70% of the iceberg is below the surface. So what we can see, right, issue management, so cost, quality, and time. What we don't see below the surface. So we have acceptance, and within acceptance, we have promoters, potential promoters, hidden opponents, and opponents. We also have attitude and behavior. In the attitude, we have the management of perceptions and beliefs, and behavior, we have power and politics management. There's a lot of forces going on there. You have the guys who are, who are all for the change. You have the potential guys who are on the fence. We have the people who don't let their feelings be known, and then we have the opponents, the guys that said, no, we don't want this. And there is a lot of politics and power play going on underneath the surface that we don't see. When things change within an organization, it can be a stressful time, whether it's changing a logo, whether it's changing your beliefs, whether it's changing your strategies. A lot of stress involved within that. A lot of time people don't see what's going on beneath the surface. There's a lot to it, a hell of a lot to it. And it's something that you should have a look at. And next time when things start changing within the organization you're in, I suppose you'll appreciate it a little bit more, what actually goes into all this change. It's not something that the managing director gets up one morning and says, I want to change how we do things. A lot of time, a lot of effort, a lot of planning, a lot of prep goes into changing things. So simple steps to change. We have 5 of them here. So 1, acknowledge and understand the need for change. 2, communicate the need and involve people in developing the change. 3, develop the change plans. 4, implement the change plans. 5, evaluate progress and celebrate success. So first of all, right, you need to understand the need for change, whether it's with whatever organization you're in, whether the way the market is changing, where you need to develop to keep up with your competitors and things, that understand and acknowledge that, yes, we do need to change. So communicate the need and involve people in developing the change. So who are the people, who are going to be involved in this? So you need to communicate well with people who are going to be involved in the actual development of it. Obviously, then you develop your plans, you implement the plans, and then you evaluate their progress and hopefully celebrate their success. It sounds simple, doesn't it? There are various models for change management. You have the ADKAR model, the Deming cycle, and Kotter's change model. See the next slide for that one. So ADKAR's model, awareness, desire, knowledge, ability, and reinforcement, successful change, the business need, concept and design, implementation, and post-implementation. The Deming cycle, the PDSA cycle, plan, do, act, and study. I'm sure we're all very, very aware of that. Like I said, there are so many different theories and models out there. Sorry, excuse me for 1 second. So the ADKAR model, again, like I mentioned there a second ago, awareness of the need for change, the desire to participate and support the change, knowledge, how to change, ability to implement the desired skills and behavior, and reinforcement to sustain the change. Kotter's approach then is a simple approach. Kotter analyzed hundreds of change management attempts in large and small organizations over 10 years and has distilled the principles of change into 8 strategic steps. All 8 steps need to be present and in the right order for the change process to be successful. So Kotter's steps, his framework. 1, create a sense of urgency. 2, build a core guiding coalition. 3, form the vision for change. 4, enlist a volunteer army. 5, enable people by removing barriers. 6, generate quick win opportunities. 7, sustain change acceleration. And 8, institute and embed the change in the business. These guys that come up with these theories, when you think about them, they're very, very simple. They've just put into words what other people think. Now, obviously, this is a very, very brief synopsis of these guys' work. If you want to really get into their theories, Google their work and you'll see there's a lot more behind it. These is just a kind of a synopsis of all of these guys, of what they do and what they think. So, if you look at it, create a sense of urgency, right? Let people, we really need to get this done. Our competitors are flying past us, they're leaving us for standing. We need to get this done. Build a core guiding coalition. So build a team, that can guide, form your vision, enlist a volunteer army, get people on your side who want to help with this change. Enable people by removing boundary barriers. Give them tasks, give them a sense of authority, things like that. Like we spoke with when we were talking about delegation. Generate quick wins opportunities. So give yourself small goals. Goals are very achievable and goals are attainable. Get to them. It creates a positivity around the whole change. Once you have your you need to keep number 7, then you need to keep the momentum going. And then lastly, right, institute and embed the change in the business. So you have it there, keep it there. So change leaders must be willing to listen, learn, understand, maintain open communication during and after the change process. An inclusive culture encourage a win-win outcome. All types of resistance to change must be treated as feedback. And again, remember we kind of discussed this last week when we were talking about constructive criticism. So any type of negativity or resistance to change, it must be treated as feedback. The guys who you have helping you or your leaders, they need certain skills. They need listening skills. They need to be able to learn. They need to be able to adapt. They need to be able to understand not just why the change is happening, but understand what other people are feeling and maintain open communication before, during, and after the change. Steps to ensure your change initiative is successful. Identify what will be improved. Present a solid business case to stakeholders and plan for the change. So it's all about, preparation. If you're in a position to bring a change about in your organization, go in there, when you're trying to sell your idea to whoever it may be, the stakeholders, the board of directors, whoever it is, you need to go in there prepared. There's no point in going in and saying, right, this is what I want us to do. I think we should do this. I think we should do that. Go in there, be prepared, have a plan, have it prepared, and, present it to the people who need to know and who can help you with this change if that's what you want. Provide resources and use data for evaluation. Obviously, communication again. Monitor and manage resistance, dependency, and budgeting risks. Celebrate success. Review and revise and continuously improve. It's all kind of self-explanatory there, really. So some of the common challenges of change management. The science of organizational change is itself constantly changing and evolving. The human element of change management may be one of the most difficult to navigate because people do not inherently like change or adjust to it too well. Change is difficult and cumbersome, and it's true. You're doing something, you're in an organization and you've been doing the same thing for the last year, the last 2 years, 5 years, 10 years, however long it is. And it's how you do things. You're in a routine. You don't want to change what you've been doing for the last, however long it's been. You don't like it. It takes you out of your comfort zone. So your biggest challenge is the human element. And I think that's true with anything that we do, the human element is always the biggest challenge when it comes to change or anything really. Involving people early on, implementing process and continuously adjusting for improvement is critical to success. Thorough planning, buy-in, process, resources, communication, and constant evaluation. These are all, critical to success. Like I said, planning, getting people to buy into this change, your processes, your resources, your communication, and it needs to be constantly evaluated. Is this going to work? Maybe we should change this. Is this going to work? Things constantly, you can't just put it in place and leave it be. As we get more into this course, or the different modules we're going to do, you're going to be seeing about constantly evaluating things, risk assessments, all that kind of stuff. It's no point in just doing a risk assessment or doing something and leaving it as it is. Yeah, especially if you're changing processes and things like that, you need to evaluate, because you need to find out, is the new way working? If it's not working, then you need to go back to the drawing board, reevaluate, and change again to something that will work. So the breakdown of types in the organization. So 8% will be innovators, 17% will be leaders. That equals 25%. 29% will be early adopters, 29% will be late adopters, 17% will be resistors, and that gives us 75%. So there's your breakdown roughly of your, what you're going to be involved with. Managing personal change then, okay? So the 7 C's framework for successful personal and professional change. These 7 C's can guide you successfully through personal transitions. They can help learning to effectively deal with possible personal or professional transitions. So here they are. 1, complexity. 2, clarity. 3, confidence. 4, creativity. 5, commitments. 6, consolidation. 7, change. So complexity. What do you say about that? I suppose, when you're talking about personal and professional, how complex is your personal and professional life, career at the moment? Do you have any clarity? Do you know where you want to be? Do you have the confidence to make this going on to the change? How creative are you? Are you creative in I don't mean in an arty way, but maybe in how you design your planned change? How committed are you? And then, the consolidation of all of that to number 7, the actual change. Again, I'm going to go back to, you're working for a company for the last 5 years. You're doing the same thing day after day. You want to change. How do you go about this change? Do you have the confidence to apply for a new position in a new company? Do you think, oh God, what if this, what if that? What if I make the change and I don't like it there? They don't like me. I don't like the job won't suit me. Sometimes we're our own worst enemies when it comes to things like that. Sometimes you have to take a leap of faith. Having these 7 C's obviously is a big help. You have to be, I think that the biggest one there, or the 2, is confidence and commitment. You need to be confident in your own abilities to make this change. Right? You see people, and we've mentioned it earlier on in other discussions about we're in our work environments. There's a position comes up and you decide, no, I won't apply for this. I don't think I can do this job. Or, no, it's a bit above my head or whatever. But then you see other people apply for it who may be less skilled, may have less experience you, apply for these positions and getting these positions. Now these guys are I'm assuming that you all want to, listen to what your goals are. You all want to, I suppose, climb the ladder, as they say. But you're watching these guys climb that ladder while you're still staying where you are, simply because and I don't mean to say this in a harsh way, but simply because you lack the confidence to go forward yourself. You think that you may not be the right person for the job. If you think about it, you've nothing to lose by applying for these positions if you really want them. Nothing to lose and everything to gain. Okay, you go through the interview process, you don't get it, but what you do gain is valuable experience going through that interview process. Now you might say, oh, we've all done plenty of interviews. Yeah, you've done plenty for interviews for the positions or the types of positions that you're at now. But there's as you move up the ladder, there's a different process in the interviewing and the interviewing process and all that. It's a little bit more difficult because obviously the jobs are a little bit more difficult. So, apply for, get that confidence. And the last one, the commitment. Like you said, you all put down on your portfolios of the goals you wanted and the time frame you want to reach that goal. Number 5 there, commitment. You have to be committed. If you really, really want to achieve these goals, then you need to stay committed for however long it takes. If you're giving yourself 2 years, if you're giving yourself 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, whatever it is, if you really want to reach that goal, then you need to stay committed. It's that simple. Like you all know my story. I've mentioned to you a few times. 10 years ago, it was my dream to do this, what I'm doing now, have my own little training company, and be training and working for myself and doing what I'm doing. It happened for me. I started this in 2019. We're in 2021 now, and I'll be honest with you, I'm a lot further ahead than I thought I would be at this stage in I suppose in the company's lifetime. So I'm more than happy. I'm ahead of where I thought I would be, which is brilliant. Now I hope to God, touching wood, that I'll always stay that ahead of where I in my goal setting. I'm not finished yet. You reach one goal, you set yourself another goal. I mean, I still have another few goals to get before I reach my ultimate goal. Will I get there? With the hard work, determination, confidence, and commitment? Yes, I will. And you have to. We've discussed all this. Whatever your goal is, whether it's senior management, whether it's been training development officer, whether supervisor, team leader, whatever your goal is, you have to visualize yourself in that role. Yeah, some people call it dreaming. You have to dream as well. That's how we reach our goals. You have to physically visualize yourself in that role. If you can do that, then you will get there. Like I said, confidence, commitment. They're the two most important ones there. For me, those would be the two most important ones there. For you guys, it might be different. But those are the 7 C's to personal and professional change. So again, we're back to Coulter again. 8 common change mistakes. Coulter in 1996. 1, allowing too much complacency. Failing to create a powerful guiding coalition. Underestimating the power of vision. Like I said there a few minutes ago with your own goals, visualize it. Under communicating the vision. Permitting obstacles to block the new vision. Failing to create short-term wins. Declaring victory too soon, and neglecting to anchor changes firmly in the future. So let's go back to those for 1 second. So allowing too much complacency. Again, we allow complacency to creep into our work and our personal lives a lot of time because it's something we've been doing day after day after day. We get complacent and we're not. Same thing happens when we're changing. We get complacent. And things happen. Things don't happen. So we fail to create a powerful guiding coalition. So the team that you build up around yourself to get this change happen, we fail to create that. We might get a couple of people on board, but we're not getting the people that we need on board. So failing to create that can be a mistake. Like I mentioned previously when we talked about our own personal stuff, underestimating the power of vision. Okay, it's fine when you're doing your own personal or professional change for yourself. Your vision, it's fine. You can see it in your head, and nobody else needs to see that, only you, because it's your own personal thing. But when you're doing change within an organization, you need people to understand and see what you see, for them to get on board and realize how good this change can be. And that brings us on to number 4, under communicating it. Again, getting people to see what you see, the vision that you have, communicating that vision to them and doing it correctly and powerfully. Again, permitting obstacles to block the new vision. Sometimes an obstacle will come up in front of us, and all we do is we throw our hands up in the air and say, that's it, we're done. We can't, what can we do? This comes back to our problem solving skills. Okay, let's remove the obstacle. Let's go around it. Let's go over it. Let's go under it. There's always ways to get past obstacles. You just need to use the head, switch on, get your problems out, get your team, do some brainstorming. You know, it's not one person doing this, okay? Get your team around you, start brainstorming. Failing to create short-term wins. So throughout this whole, and I said this to you guys as well, when you're doing your own personal or professional goals, you have your ultimate goal, but create short-term goals that are that you know that you can get to. And when you get them, celebrate them. Number 7, declaring a victory too soon. So declaring that you are saying that, yes, we've done it before you've actually done it. And then something might happen. It may get delayed a little bit more, and everyone is despondent then and disappointed when it doesn't actually happen. And number 8, neglecting to anchor changes firmly in the culture. So once you've made the changes and it looks like these changes are going to work, you get them there solid, that people are not slipping back to the old ways. You make sure that they stick to the changes and they move forward with the new changes. Leading and managing change. And here's a quote from Bill Gates. In 3 years, every product my company makes will be obsolete. The only question is whether we'll make them obsolete or somebody else will. So That's a very interesting quote. What do you think he means by that? The only question is whether we make them obsolete or somebody else will. Which you think will be better? I think for them themselves, Bill Gates, Microsoft, that they make them obsolete before somebody else does. If they make them obsolete, they're in control. If somebody else makes them obsolete, they don't have control. Important points to include. Pick an organization you work or worked in. Give a brief, so this is back to your skills presentation, okay? Give a brief outline or description of the business. Outline what change took place. If you have not one picked, how would you implement change in your, if you do not have one picked, how would you implement change in your workplace? Two, the steps involved in the change. So again, provide an overview. Did it follow the recommended steps? Again, you have, like I said, Porter's 8-step change management process. Go back and have a look at it, use it. Porter's 8-step change. One, like I said, creating the climate for change. Create urgency. 2, form a powerful coalition. 3, create a vision for change. 4, communicate the vision. 5, empower the action. 6, create quick wins. 7, build on the change. 8, make it stick. We'll see it in the blue, creating a climate change. In the green, engaging and enabling the organization. And red, implementing and sustaining for change. So once you have it there, you need to keep it there and you need to keep working on it. It's like everything else. You know, once you do something, it doesn't stop there. Okay, that's it, it's done. You constantly have to go back to it and reevaluate it and update it. And, you know, it's not just, right, that's it, it's done, let's forget about it. Things have to be constantly monitored, evaluated, implemented, updated. It's constant. And that's where sometimes a lot of these things fail because of that. They're not monitored, they're not evaluated, and they just fail. So number 3, important points to include. Discuss the way change was communicated and received in the organization. So I guess it's a funny cartoon. Why don't we, and I know this sounds cool, communicate with employees about these changes? The worst thing you can do is not communicate. You need to let your people know what's happening, why it's happening. And again, if, like I said earlier on, if something bad happens, let them know. If there's going to be a delay, let them know. You know, it's not bad. Once they know, you know, the worst thing is when they don't know, when you're not communicating, they see things happening, but they don't understand, or they may not realize what's happening. This is where the rumors start. This is where you get the negativity because nobody knows exactly what's happening. So you need to let the people know what's happening, when it's happening, and how it's happening. So number 4, change process and managing resources, budgets, and financial plans. So how was it managed and evaluated? Use your resources effectively, efficiently, and economically. Review previous planning and implementation around change, right? Set policy, establish resource framework, set objectives of change, strategies, and expenditure priorities, allocate resources and prepare budgets, implement change, release funds, monitor accounts and expenditure, evaluate the audit change, monitor the effectiveness, and feed results into future plans. It all goes back to your planning and preparation. When you're doing your planning, all of this needs to be in your planning. It's no point in halfway through your change and you realize, oh, I forgot this, oh, I forgot that, oh, I didn't think about that. And that's just, that's bringing you down the path of failure straight away. Planning every outcome, every possible scenario that could go wrong. You need to plan it, and you need to have a plan in place. If A happens, if B happens, if C happens, if D happens, have a plan in place to fix those problems. 5 important points for inclusion. The various stages of decision making. The 7 steps to effective decision making. Decision making is the process of making choices by identifying a decision, gathering information, and assessing alternative resolutions. Using a step-by-step decision-making process can help you make more deliberate, thoughtful decisions by organizing relevant information and defining alternatives. This approach increases the chances that you will choose the most satisfying alternative possible. So 1, identify decision. So you know that you need to make a decision on something. 2, gather the information. So before you actually make your decision, gather as much information you can on what it is you're making a decision on, obviously. 3, identify alternatives. So you may have a decision in mind, but other alternatives, they might be bad, they might be better. Weigh up so number 4, weigh up the evidence. Is this going to be good? Is this going to be bad? Choose among so when you have all your choices there in front of you, choose among the alternatives. Number 6, take action. And number 7, review your decision. When we say review your decision, you have to decide, right, well, the decision I made to do this, was it the right decision or was it the wrong decision? Sometimes, like we're all human, everybody is the same. We all sometimes make the wrong decision. Or I won't say the wrong decision, but maybe a poor decision or not the right decision. That's fine. It happens. The thing is, learn from it. Move on. Change what the decision was and go with the next one. It's not the end of the world. If you make a wrong, the trick is, right, to stand up and say, yes, I made this mistake. I made this wrong decision. Let's change that. Let's go with an alternative. And because you've gone through the whole decision process, you will have alternatives. So they're there already. This is what you chose. Obviously, it didn't work right. It wasn't the right decision or the right choice, but we have alternatives. Let's use one of those. Let's have a look at those and see if they will work better. That's what it's all about. We cannot be right all of the time. It's impossible for someone to be right 100% of the time. Identifying and outlining the problem. So the criteria of problem and weighing, setting out the key criteria and root cause of the problem. Consider all options to resolve the problem along with alternatives to each. Have active involvement from all staff in decision-making process. Analyzing the options, study each proposed option and its strengths and weaknesses in detail and balanced against the criteria of the problem. So the root cause of problems. How do we get to the root cause? Very, very simple. It's called the 5 why approach, not the letter Y, but the word why. So there is a problem. So you ask the question, why is X, Y, and Z happening? And you're told, because of this. The next question you should ask is, why? And the next question you ask after that is why. Now, they call it the 5 whys. Sometimes it might only take 2, sometimes it might take 3, sometimes it might take 10. They call it the 5 whys. It's the only way you are going to get to the root cause of a problem, or whatever it is, an incident, an accident, or a problem. The 5 whys. Ask the questions and don't accept the first answer. If you accept the first answer, you will never get to the root cause of the problem. Select an alternative when all alternatives have been identified and put forward. So this is your back to your decision making. And the person responsible for making decision has assessed them accordingly to the criteria set out. They must then select the best option. Implementing the decision, communicate the decision to everyone involved and who it affects, and make sure they are committed to it. This should be straightforward if all staff have participated in the decision-making process. Assess how effective the decision was. The results achieved through the change must now be assessed to ascertain if the decision rectified the problem. If the problem is still present, the process must be looked at again and see where the mistake was, and then make a new decision. Like I said, you have alternatives. You make a decision, it wasn't the right decision, fine. You know, now we know, but you know, right, that doesn't work. And I'm sure I mentioned to this thing about Einstein, where he was doing the 9 times tables in front of a class, got them all right, got the last one wrong, and everyone laughed and joked and all that, and you know, but he said, no one complimented me. I said, well done, when I got the other 9 right. Again, when he was when Edison was inventing the light bulb, you know, he before he actually got the light bulb work, you know, I don't know, it was 99 or 100 or something like that previous, and what he said was, no, I have no way, there were 99 ways not to make it. You know, so, you know, you make a decision, it's good. You make a wrong decision, it's not the end of the world. At least you know in future that that process or that alternative will not work to solve if the problem comes up again. It's very, very simple. When we're talking about our own personal and professional development, we need to get rid of, and like I said at the start, we need to get rid of all these negativities that we have. If something bad happens, turn it into a positive. Okay, now we know that we should not to do it this way again. That's simple. So again, more points to more important points to close, right? So keep staff motivated during the change. Set clear expectations and goals. Focus on getting staff comfortable and actively involved in change. Give them a role. Allow staff space to make decisions during change. So to keep your staff motivated, set clear expectations, give them goals to set them goals, get them to achieve those goals. Focus on getting them comfortable and actively involved in change. Give them something to do. If they're involved in it, they're more open to making it happen, for it to succeed. And again, allow staff space to make the decisions during the change, because remember, this is all new to them. What they've been doing for the last 2 years, 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, it's about to change. You're hoping for the better, but they still need time to soak it up, to get it sink in that this is happening. Whether they like it or not, it's happening. And obviously you want them to like it and you want them to be involved. The less people who are opposed to this change, obviously, the better for you. More important points to include: listen to staff actively during change. Make their comments and suggestions, or sorry, take their comments and suggestions on board. They have the experience of working on the ground and can see problematic areas which management may miss. Establish short-term goals. Again, like I said, establishing the short-term goals, it's a good thing. It gives them something to look forward to, rather than the end goal, or the thing that's at the end of the rainbow, which may take that a bit longer. Give them some short-term goals that they can celebrate when they achieve them. So number 7, approach taken to problem solving. So define the problem, be clear about the issues involved, find the root cause or causes of the problem. Like I said, the 5 whys. Define a list of possible solutions. Have input from everyone involved. So you have your team around you, your planners, your organization, your developers in this change. Listen to what they have to say. You know, if there's a problem, everyone is going to have their own take on how to solve this problem. Listen to what they have to say. Encourage them to give their input into this problem. Evaluate each possible solution and then select one, like we said with the decision making. Implement it, and then obviously once you've selected one, implement it. Evaluate the outcome and has the problem been solved, or if needed, implement a different solution. Conflict management and conflict resolution, the attitude and behavior cycle. My attitude affects my behavior, affects your attitude, affects your behavior. You know, and it's true, you know, it's that simple. How you are around people affects them, and how that affects them affects you. It's a vicious circle. The Thomas Kilmann conflict mode instrument touches on 5 areas of conflict management styles based on 2 dimensions. Now, don't forget, we will be going into, I think that's our next module, by the way, conflict management. So don't worry too much about it, okay? Assertiveness is the motivation of an individual to achieve his or her goals, objectives, and outcomes. Cooperativeness assesses the willingness to allow or help the other party to achieve its goals or outcomes. Any of their 5 conflict resolution styles may be appropriate based on the circumstances of the situation and the personalities involved in, or of the personalities of the individuals involved. Okay, so assertive, assertiveness, and unassertive. Cooperativeness. So you have, sorry, assertiveness, you have assertive and unassertive. Cooperativeness, uncooperative, and cooperative. Okay. So competing, my way, win, lose. So compromising, halfway. Collaborating, our way, win, win. Avoiding, lose, lose. Accommodating, your way, lose, win. So collaborating is the best way to go, really. It's a win-win for everyone. So number 9, important feedback and constructive criticism in the change process. Feedback is vital to employees' development as it clarifies expectations and helps them to learn from mistakes. It provides them with the motivation to succeed. Obviously, having their work recognized. It shows that management are committed to employee career development. It initiates engagement where manager and employee are in constant communication and working together to achieve goals. If approach is positive when given feedback and focused on improvement, employee is more likely to respond positively. So here you have I suppose the end of it here, right? So important points to include: provide a reflection on the module, personal and professional development, what you have learned, what have you learned about yourself? You know, have you learned anything about yourself? You know, I suppose you should have, you know, going through all, I suppose, the portfolios, the 5 portfolios, especially the first 3 in here. You know, it was all about you. You know, your goals, your dreams, you know, how you see yourself. Do you see yourself the way other people see you? Things like that. It's powerful stuff. Have you learned anything about yourself, where you want to be in 5 years? I know that we all had, you know, I suppose we've all thought about where we'd like to be, but have we ever actually put it down on paper? Now that you've put it down on paper, can you see yourself there? I hope you can. And I hope that in 2 years, 3 years, 5 years, that you'll all be where you hope to be. And maybe in 5 years' time, you might drop me an email and tell me, well, Ed, I've got here. I've reached my goal. I'm now the managing director of X, Y, and Z, or I'm the, whatever your goal was, I'm the training and development manager for X, Y, and Z, or I'm the site manager, or I'm the operations manager, or whatever your goal was. I hope that in 5 years' time that you'll send me an email to let me know that you've reached your goal. I really do. Okay, guys, that's all for this evening. I hope you enjoyed this. I hope you get something from this and helps you along with your skill demo. We will talk anyway tomorrow evening, and we can discuss how we're going. All right, have a good day, and I shall talk to you all soon.